Good morning. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners East County Cities Workshop of September 10th, 2024. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Please stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2, Commissioner Wakeman. District 3, Commissioner Starkey. District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here.
And
Let it
Mr.
be.
Mike Carballa, County Administrator.
Present.
Okay. And our County Administrator, Jeff Steinsteiner, is here to my left. With that, I will let you know that we have a quorum present, so we can take care of business as it comes to us today. Welcome to this year's County Cities Board Workshop. A special thanks to the staff and all for the event, and to IFAS for extending the room and all for hosting this workshop. Okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to Mike Cabal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I guess I'm just blown away at the participation here, both in the room and of course here at the table. So thank you all for taking the time to get together. We hold this workshop once a year to get together with our East Side cities and the county government to discuss issues that are important to all of us and to all of our citizens. So grateful that is here. I think it would be good if it's okay for the public and for those of us here, since we don't get together too often, to maybe go around the room real quick, do a quick introduction of just yourselves, and then we'll get down to business, because we have quite a packed agenda that I see here today. Perhaps we could start over with the City of Zephyr Hills on this right side there.
Ken Burgess, City Council, Zephyr Hills.
Steve Spina, City Council, Zephyr Hills.
Billy Poe, City Manager for Zephyr Hills.
Leslie Porter, City Manager, Dade City.
Amita Woodard, Mayor Pro Tem, Dade City.
Scott Black, Mayor for the City of Dade City.
Of course, Mike Carballa, County Administrator for Pasco County.
Ron Oakley, and County Commissioner of District 1, which we are all in. And that's why you show up, because we care about what happens in our county.
And welcome to Dade City, too.
And welcome to Dade City. Yeah.
Jeff Steinsnyder, County Attorney.
Lisa Yeager, County Commissioner, District 4.
Jack Mariano, County Commissioner, District 5, always willing to take the drive.
Donna DeWitt, Mayor Pro Tem, Town of St. Leo.
Andrea Calvert, Town Administrator and Clerk, St. Leo.
Vincent Mike D'Ambrosio, Mayor, Town of St. Leo.
Marissa Powers, Town Attorney, Town of St. Leo.
Brother Apollo, Commissioner, Town of St. Leo.
Julia Fresney Sandifer, Assistant City Clerk, City of San Antonio.
Blaze Greenpoint, City Commissioner, City of San Antonio. Randy Huckabee, Mayor Pro Tem, City of San Antonio.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking the time here. So, as I mentioned, we have a very packed agenda, and we have a lot of things going on in the county and cities. And infrastructure, of course, is always top of the list. So we kind of wanted to start out with that. And one of the issues that we wanted to discuss, of course, that's come up is water and wastewater here on the east side. So I have a Dade City water and wastewater as a Pasco County issue that maybe. I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that.
We've been talking about the sewer issue because Dade City's actually had an issue there for, 3 or 4 years ago, you asked for another sewer plant to actually reach out and get money for that project. So, and that's kind of going on, and of course you got denied the money, and it's now been a real issue. We're kind of busting at the seams, but we feel as a county that we need to step up, and whether and hopefully ask that Dade City be a partner with us, or we'll take it on along and you can get the service of that. So one way or the other, we want to work together. That's the main purpose of doing this. And we know that's a big need for East Pasco County, and I know Dade City in this area.
Yeah, and I think, our utility directors, I think, have kind of hopefully gotten together to at least have some initial discussions on what that partnership could look like. And just to let you know that we are committed to working with you to ensure that we've got clean water and sanitation to support current citizens as well as future growth in the area.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may. This has been a concern in Dade City for 13, 14 years. In fact, maybe even back to the 1950s, if we want to go back historically as well. The siting of the wastewater treatment plant in Dade City is in the historical African American community, and we feel a real social need as well to have the plant in a different place. Of course, the age of the plant, it's been updated through the years, a lot of times because of the state DEP coming in and telling us we have to, and of course that's happened with every town our size anywhere in the state of Florida, as I came to find out several years ago. But the interesting thing is the capacity of our wastewater treatment plant is really quite great. We're not even, I'm not even sure if we're at a halfway point yet, but we have so much commitment that we've set aside the developments. The developers are able to go in and buy the rights to their needs with the plant. And so that's where we're actually bumping up against our limit in terms of we're going to have a new plant anyway, because of when things are built out, it's going to be, and it's one of those things, you can drive a car until it runs out of gas, but you don't fly an airplane until it drives out of gas, until it runs out of gas. And that's what we have with the wastewater treatment plant, that we just can't go without it. Of course, it's an economic development tool as well. So serving our residents, also correcting some past wrongs, and preparing for future growth and economic development, just so many things that are incumbent upon us in coming up with a plan for the future for a new wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. Well, then we'll continue to work together, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. A question. When do you think you'll be at full capacity?
If I had a crystal ball. As you know, with economic cycles, we had a lot of annexations back in the early 2000s, and of course nothing compares to what we've been doing in the last several years. And of course it's interesting, a good bit of what we did back in the early 2000s has yet to develop. And so some of that, it will be interesting to see how the developers have purchased and who's going to step up first, and that's something we're going to have to really monitor closely and keep an eye on for how we do this in the future as well. But yeah, there are several economic development factors involved in economic cycles, and so that's used to be the $1 million question, but it's many more zeros behind it now.
Do you have any conditions on these developments? How long do you let them hold on to what they're buying for capacity? How long do they have to before they can actually use it and make a move? That's
one of the things that we're going to have to be more cognizant of in the future as we make these agreements too, is the time factor and even how they can work with one another to sell back and forth. And so that's probably about what I could say about that. I don't know if the city manager has more to chip in on that, chime in.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
With the wastewater treatment plant, in terms of the developers that have already bought the rights for the future. And
so, of course,
this is Leslie Porter, our city manager.
We've seen a lot of activity in Dade City from the developers, and as our mayor indicated, it's hard to predict who is developing. We speak with them and try to get a timeline for their development. We have a number who are anxious to proceed, and the issue we have is we have other developers who have purchased this capacity and they're not moving forward yet, but we have others who would really like to come forward and start building immediately. We're currently under active design of the new plant. They're studying a basis of treatment processes and trying to select the best treatment process to use for the new plant.
Right. Well, I know for Dade City, because just lately, within the last 2 or 3 years, you've added a lot of annexation to the west and also to the south of downtown Dade City. But some of that I wish y'all would have done 10 years ago, because it seemed like it would have grown in the cycle, and it would have been easier to grow in that, but things were not happening like they are now, and they're so fast happening now. So it's like a moving target when you're trying to pick a time to start adding those on and start using that sewage system. But if you're not at full capacity, then those that are not ready and they have bought that, I don't know if you probably have to talk to your attorney, but you'd have to look at, see if they're not going to get started to use that capacity, you need others to come forward and start that. So
we have been, Chairman, having conversations with our city attorney, looking at alternatives and what we could do to maybe amend the utility service agreements, right, and how we could move forward with that.
Right. So I care about all my cities in District 1, and I really, I'm a little partial to Dade City, but in Dade City, I was born and raised here, so I hear speakers get up all the time and they say, well, I've been here since 1985. I said, oh, wait, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Oh, I've been here since 1945. My house is on 7th Street. I grew up on 10th Street. So I didn't go very far in life, but I'm right here. But I care a lot about it. And I care a lot about, Zephyr Hills, Santa Ana, St. Leo. All of them are, I call them my cities. This is my home. And the East Pasco County is what I call home, more so than just Dade City. But in Zephyr Hills, they call me Uncle Ronnie. So my nephew's the attorney there. So.
Well, as we talk more, Mr. Chair, if we can partner with the county, we're going to have to make sure we have enough capacity for the future in our discussions with the county as well. That any type of that we have that we're not limiting ourselves with the capacity there. So that's very important. For both of us.
We have those same issues about capacity, because you've got yours probably coming to be filled, so there's going to be a need for more capacity. I think that's why Pasco can't sit back and let that fail. We got to step forward, because we're trying to build a city back into Lacoochee, and we've had 3 businesses there now, and it's starting to be real well. So, but we need capacity for that city too, so, or not city, but the community of Lacoochee. So,
okay, very good. Okay, the next 2 items were brought up by the city of Dade City regarding Pasco High School pedestrian safety initiatives, as well as bus stops on Morningside Drive and US 98. So, multimodal type of transportation issue. So I'll turn it over to the city there to discuss these matters.
Ms. Porter, will you?
Commissioner Cosentino added the discussing sidewalk plans for the areas to and from the schools within the 2-mile school radius for Pasco High School, and also looking at the possibility of adding crosswalks and lights to the crosswalks. I know there is a concern in Dade City and around the school generally about the safety of our children, and now that the rules have changed of how far they have to commute, that has even heightened those concerns. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of detail of what the commissioner wanted to discuss, but
I can add some color.
Yeah, as the school, but the busing, the closer you live to the school, the lack of busing, and that has increased more in the last few years, and so many are needing to walk to school. But this has been a historical type of a situation for us as well. Commissioner Oakley will remember, Chair Oakley will remember when Pasco High School was on 14th Street, where the middle school is now. And schools at one time were in more centrally located within the towns. And when the high school was developed in the late 60s, the stadium first, and then the high school, it was first a junior high, and then it became the high school. It was out on the outlying areas of town, so it's always been a bit of a challenge for those who would walk to school. So it was a little bit out of the traditional norm for Dade City to have a high school on the edge of town. Wonderful campus. But we've never really caught up with the sidewalks. The interesting thing is with Fort King Road, 17th Street, There's a new apartment complex that's just outside the city limits. I say new, it's been in the past 10, 12 years, and across from the hospital, and there's no sidewalk linking them to the high school, even though they're in such close proximity. We have built some sidewalks along 17th Street south of Florida Avenue probably about 12 years ago, and we just really need to have a good network of sidewalks and to enable our school children to be able to get to and from, especially the high school, since it's in the more outlying areas, as well as Burks Park. And along 52, there are sidewalks. The DOT helped take care of that several years ago with multimodal planning. But with 17th Street, we could work together on that. That would be great.
Okay.
And the crosswalk lights, that's of course even in the more established areas, just making it more safe for the children to be able to get to and from school.
Right. Mr. Caballa?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for bringing that up. Just know that with the transportation issues that are challenging the school board, we've convened a group with our county engineering team, Public Works, and the school board to look at exactly what you're talking about, and we've been working with them to prioritize a list. And have been kind of slowly chipping away at it. In fact, we did get some state appropriation dollars for a school in the Lake Padgett area, I believe, to kind of start chipping away at this problem. So our team will continue to work on that and communicate where these matters fall.
And if we could pull 2 or 3 chairs up to the table, we'd appreciate that as well in terms of our schools and transportation concerns here in Dade City.
I'm looking at our county engineer, and I think he's acknowledged that. So
okay, thank you.
That'd be good.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
So, those sunshine law makes it difficult for us to talk. So we've got an issue coming up. It's going to be a little bit later in the year about the Orange Belt Trail. Recently took a ride along it, and along that roadway, if the Orange Belt Trail went along that way, it could be a path going all the way up to there and connecting at least to the middle school. If we went further, we could catch up to there too. So that may be something to take a look at with us. As far as working with the school board, when they made their change going from a 1-mile commute to a 2-mile commute, that affected everything everywhere. We have suffering infrastructure all over this county for that change. And it takes 5 years once you get as you know, when you get a project done in the MPO to get that thing to come forward. So it's not going to happen quick. But I think if we work all together legislatively and work with our state to say, look, this is what we need, here's why we're in this situation. And if we go lobby up there, even if you have to just do it locally, if they put the appropriations in, they can do it, and we've had some success with that. I think that's the ultimate way to go to speed up the whole process.
Right. I know I reached out to the school board because a lot of people were hollering and screaming because all the traffic around the schools. And come to find out, I was talking to Ray Gadd, and he said, well, Ron, the problem is our older schools like Centennial, San Antonio, and some other older schools were not prepared for the traffic they're getting with parents bringing the kids to school. And this year was more so than any, as more parents are bringing their kids to school because there's a lack of bus drivers and buses that can bring them to school. And now some of the schools have made differences where the parent cannot park and walk their kid to the front door. They have to drive their kid to the front door. So all these things, have caused a lot of traffic issues. All the newer schools, like out at Cypress Creek, those schools, they already have within themselves their traffic pattern and stacking lanes to handle that kind of traffic. So the older schools are really struggling with getting their kids in and out. So it's created the problem you've been hearing about. Yeah. And I've been talking to them about that same thing. But when you have no space other than your main road, there's no room to put another road or some stacking in some of those areas that needs to be done. So
it's difficult to have that Chick-fil-A model with the older schools, isn't it?
It just can't happen that way. It's a shame.
Yeah. And so that kind of leads us into lack of bus stops on Morningside Drive. I guess just understand that one a little bit better. I brought our transit director here just in case. So.
When we're talking about lack of bus stops, I'm talking about public transportation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we get to Morningside Drive, US 98 bypass, there is not a public transportation bus stop that crosses the railroad track on the east side until you get to Comer Road in LaCoochee. So from Morningside Drive Tacoma Road in Lakuchi, there's not one public transportation bus stop that crosses the railroad track. We have a huge habitat community which is now located in East Lake Park near our current wastewater treatment plant. And a lot of families and a lot of communities, and with us doing the expansion of US 98 to a 4-lane highway, it is a major concern that our children will have to now cross a 4-lane highway without the opportunity to have public transportation. And we really need to look at that. I know analysis have been being done. We've called them to the table for our community conversation meetings, but yet nothing has changed. So we need to figure out how can we collaborate to get some bus stops to go across the railroad track before you get to Lakuchi.
Okay. I know we are undertaking a review of our routes, and that is going on right now as part of overall efficiency of the transit system. So I'm sure, Nina, Kathy, that we can, take a look at that and ensure that we're doing right.
Yeah, we need some bus stops in around Dade City itself, and then we're going to have to add some bus stops up in the Lakuchi area, because as we bring those companies in with jobs, this last company has 100 jobs. And I think they pay somewhere around $80,000 to $100,000 for those 100 jobs. It's a lot of good pay for people in that area that have been, turned back ever since Commerce shut down. We haven't had the ability to have jobs in that nearby area, and that's changing. So, but there'll be more bus stops added up there as that grows. So.
If I may, could I just mention that there's no bus stops east of the railroad tracks in Zephyr Hills either, and it would be a good spot for 6th Avenue and the Lincoln Heights subdivision that would lead in actually to the airport as well. Yeah. We're in the process of trying to improve sidewalks in that area, as the city is, but I think bus stops would be an advantage there as well.
Okay. Yeah. Right. We'll add that to our study then.
Thank you.
Well, this one's near and dear to everyone here lately, right? Of course, stormwater management after Debbie has come through has been a bit of a challenge. I know we have extended the local state of emergency to continue to receive assistance on that. Fortunately, we were notified that we did qualify for public assistance from FEMA, so that's good for our community. It means that our local governments will get some reimbursement for some of these expenses, but we continue to be faced with these challenges, and I know in some cases we're pumping into a bowl, but I have this kind of listed as a Zephyr Hills, San Antonio matter, so I'll defer to Zephyr Hills first, and then we'll talk with San Antonio as well.
So, Silver Oaks, first thank you to the county and to the state for all the assistance, not just with city residents in Silver Oaks, but the county residents that are just north of that location. All the Tiger Dam that was brought in and protecting those homes and all the pumping that you guys are doing. I saw all the crew and staff over the weekend. So I have 50 crew members out there working. Yep. So thank you to that. I know, Mike, you and I spoke earlier, and I gave you a plan from 2004, possibility of a solution or at least a help. So we've started that conversation of how do we mitigate some of the impacts in the future. So it's really the conversation of that, yeah. And maybe Zephyr Canal, trying to get it through Zephyr Park. And I think the county's looking at that already.
Yeah. As anything, as with all stormwater matters, you look to make sure you don't cause a problem somewhere else, and that's always the challenge. Yes. And yeah, I had our Chief of Infrastructure, Assistant County Administrator Adumois, take a look at that use of existing infrastructure. It may hold some fruit, so we will certainly look into that and continue to support and make sure our citizens are hopefully not seeing property damage. San Antonio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and for the opportunity to be here. I'm relatively new to the San Antonio City Commission. So at the end of December, I assumed stormwater and streets. So
you're welcome, right?
But I have lived in that area for going on 12 years now. And Curly Road, ever since I can remember, literally turns into a river once you get to about, just north of Michigan to Pasco Road. And it would be one thing if it's just a little bit of water, but I mean, we're talking 4 to 5, 6 inches at times, and it doesn't take a huge rain. But not only is the street underwater, but it's causing backwash into our residence areas, and that's their concern. I know we talked about this at the stormwater workshop, and also your staff, you reached out, and I'm so grateful. A little over a month ago, we had a meeting, and they assured me that it's on the radar. But I just want to make sure, because it's an ongoing problem. It's a safety problem. I just want to make sure as a city commissioner that I'm doing everything I can to help you guys and ladies to be able to address this. I don't want to drop the ball if there's something that I'm supposed to do, because I hear it from my constituents. But in that workshop meeting that we had, follow-up, there was also, I shared with them some issues that we have on Palm Street, really from Pennsylvania down to County Road 52, and then also on the south side of County Road 52, the runoff that's going down Florida Avenue. And even though those are city streets, they mentioned there's a possibility that the county may could partner with us. Also, funding-wise, what do we need to do? Like I said, I just want to keep this on the radar and hopefully, get something done drainage-wise there to help some of that runoff.
Some of that right there around the Santa Ana Lumber Company's big area you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
They were working on the drainage that went to the east, I think it's just north of Santa Ana Lumber, and it goes east toward the lake. I don't know if I knew they were working on it, but I don't know if we ever got that cleared up to where that water would drain.
No,
do you have any idea on that? Or?
I haven't seen any work out there, but
well,
no, it's still.
It's been about a year ago or so they were working on that. So.
No, sir, it's still. Now down where Curly Road washed out, of course, that's that's all good, but it's much further south of that. That's Santa Ana. That
part that washed out there on Curly for that big culvert, that was put in there in the 1950s, and then it happened to do it right before school, so it was a real issue getting it back, but it's fixed very well now. So
very grateful for that, because I became the main thoroughfare while that was closed.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
So. We appreciate your patience on
that. Thank you. But
all good things don't happen overnight; they happen within time. So time's our biggest enemy for us getting things done quickly at times.
Well, we'll keep that on the radar, sir. I'm looking at our Public Works Director here, and so we'll continue to do that. So thank you. The last two issues.
If I could, Mr.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Mr. Byron.
So I want to just talk to Zephyr. I was just watching Billy on the TV the other day. So the water flow coming from the golf course going through seems to be impeded a little bit, not going where it used to go, and then eventually going to the Hillsborough River.
Correct.
So I know one of the things that Hillsborough's struggling with the bay is the quality of the water coming down there. And I got to think any water going through the golf course is going to be, the longer it's there, the more pesticides, et cetera, going to affect water quality. It may be an issue that's needs a real close look at. I know the county, I think, was really effective dealing with Southport Springs, Sandy Lane a few years back to help that a lot. But this sounds like a similar situation of getting the water where it's supposed to go, designed to go, and as Amber Smith will tell you, it's got to keep its natural flow. So Commissioner Oakley has done a great job for us, helping us on the other side. So I want to try to work with you guys too to kind of figure out what's the best way to get that. We get some areas on the other side of the county where we've struggled, but now we've solved a lot of issues. So I know we got the great team to get it done. And sometimes you get a water that's a low flow area that's going to go slowly, but if you create the way, it can go at the certain times. So I think we'll happily work with you. And for San Antonio, I'm not quite familiar with exactly what's going on there, but we can take a look at that too.
Well, I can add something to that because when everybody thought Debbie had come and gone, the rains coming after Debbie created much more problem than we realized at the time. But Debbie put a lot of water down. I know Swift Mode, we were, not Swift Mode, but Tampa Water, we were down to about less than 2 billion gallons in the 15 billion gallon reservoir. Well, as of tomorrow, we're supposed to be at 12 billion gallons back up in the reservoir because of all this rain. And they've had to lower the Hillsborough River for the city of Tampa and all, they've had to open the floodgates and let that water go. But we haven't let it go. We're pumping 200 million gallons a day in the reservoir. We're capturing that water, but we're having to let it flow out to keep it from getting too high to the residents on the Hillsborough River. But I think we need to work together, Zephyrhills and the county, and work out a solution for that part that's inside the city and the part that's outside in the county, that flow can somehow be automatic, that it would just go into like a sump pump, and that sump pump would gradually keep that water flowing onto the river at the point it starts, not after the fact, have to bring in pumps. With some kind of system, research and find out what we can do to get that water moving all the time so it doesn't flood homes. The other day they had to stop pumping because there were 3 homes downstream that were fixing to be flooded if we didn't stop the pumps. And stopping the pumps doesn't help the people upstream that are caused with all that water on them. And then those like at the golf course, it was affecting them also. But there needs to be a system made, and it's not something that just happened this year. It's something that's been occurring many, many years, probably 20 and 30 years back or more, that this has been occurring. And I guess we haven't really attacked that, because after a few days, we get it done, and then it kind of goes to the side burner, and we forget about it. But those are the things we need to do for the future to help citizens from now on. If you can be a part of doing that, then for the history of that area, you set a good standard for your citizens, keeping them from being flooded when that water gets like that. So I think that's something we can work together on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank you again. Years ago, when you were even running for office, we were out with Griffin Park, and we were looking at the flooding that was going on. And your being out on the ground helped a lot to find out where, at one point, I've got the water that's going downstream. He's on the other side where the water's raising up. So we found out we had an issue in between.
Yep.
But I think the people are like Ironbark and Gray Birch, because of the work we've done, gravity systems fed, took all the water away. Holiday Hills, gravity fed, took the water away. Now we got pumps in place, but when you can do a gravity feed, it's much more dependable. You don't have to worry and stress about anything else. A lot less maintenance and cost as well. So I think working on that type of scenario is going to be the best way to go for the long term.
I know we were doing that back in 8 years ago when I first started. Mm-hmm. I was wading around in that water, and it was 1.5 feet, 2 foot deep. And today, I don't think we hear that much. I mean, there are some areas that still have issues, but we don't seem to hear it like we did 8 years ago.
Well, and I want to thank Amber Smith with Swiftmud, because at Palm Terrace over at Nome and Arbordale, we never owned the property we needed to. We finally got the property. We were decommissioning the site over there, and thanks to David Allen and Jason Mickle, we cleaned out a lot of that ditch. We took out like 1,000 truckloads of dirt or so, and it helped them flooding out. So during Debbie, I'm watching the storms at night. I'm watching the big bands going on the east side, and we're kind of getting lucky if it was still not bad. Over there, we just had a little bit of water. I was on my way over to Zephyrhills, and then I got a call from Green Key where they're still flooding. So I didn't make it over, but
right.
I think we definitely can work together to solve these things.
I think so. Okay.
Thank you.
And if I could just add as well, you know, we've had a great partnership with the Water Management District as well as FEMA and the state. So there are opportunities for grants and other funding strategies that we can leverage, and so cities would qualify for those as well. So I would encourage your team. Andy, are you back there? Andy Fossa, our emergency manager. Yeah, I would encourage your teams to also reach out to Andy. He can kind of help guide through that process as well. The next 2 items, the last 2 on the infrastructure list, are Zephyrhill items, one related to transportation, and then everyone's favorite topic of water. So I'll defer to the city.
I'll get started with that. Okay. My name is Todd Vandenberg, Planning Director for the City of Zephyrhills, and I'm just going to share a little information about a mobility plan that we just completed and then some priority roadway projects. We got a grant to do the mobility plan, just completed that project with a goal to make our community more multimodal. Also from that mobility plan, we created a hotspots map, And what those hotspots are, about 10 to 12 high priority areas where we feel like we can make transportation infrastructure improvements. And that could be anywhere from a churn lane. We got some roundabouts that we're looking at, sidewalks, trails, improvements to bus stops, some trail connectors that our staff has had some communication with Pasco County. We have a trail on Simons Road now. We'd like to connect that trail on Fort King Road, so that connects all the way to Island Boulevard. In the future plans, Island Boulevard has a trail to get you back to Simons Road. So that's a high priority trail project that we talked with the county about, as well as Wire Road from County Road 54 north to Cossack Road, I would say, is another high priority trail project for us. And then in that mobility plan, we also looked at all where the accidents are occurring. So we're going to identify those and try to make corrections for bicycle, automobile fatalities, and also look at some micro transit opportunities, some small transit opportunities in addition to the Pasco County bus service that we have to help the local people get around town a little bit. So, and then lastly, we also identified an intersection improvement of Wire Road and Pretty Pond Road, where we're completing the design engineering on a roundabout at that intersection. Very close to having that done. We'd like to see some partnering from the county. 3 of those legs are Pasco County owned and maintained, but we've kind of taken the ball this far, but like to work with the county, see if there's some partnering opportunities. A lot of development proposed at that intersection, so we're trying to be proactive and make it as safe and as efficient as possible. And then on the priority road projects, from the mobility plan, our big vision is the loop around Zephyr Hills. And a lot of that loop has to do with taking some of those regional and manufacturing trips from downtown 301 and pushing them out to the perimeter. And that bypass loop we were referring to as like Chansey Road, all the way around the airport, up to County Road 54. You can shoot off to 98, of course, which is being 4-laned. Then up to Old Lakeland Highway, up to Otis Allen. That's important because Otis Allen and the LRTP plans to go all the way out to 98. And then you go west on Otis Allen, takes you to Cossack Road, gets you all the way out to I-75. Then you come back down Handcart Road, connects to Island Boulevard, of course goes down Massey Road to Chansey, and then State Road 56. So that's our kind of big picture vision of that loop around Zephyr Hills, and then continuing to work on 301, of course. I think it's critical for that loop. Probably some of y'all have heard, we've got some big manufacturing come to Zephyr Hills, Mytech and Baduco, about 750 jobs, several 100,000 square feet of manufacturers. So we want to make sure that we don't gum up the roads. 2 lanes are okay, but those manufacturers, they're bringing semi-trucks, and we need to make sure that the roadway infrastructure is adequate to get those trucks back out to the interstates, the I-4, 75, and 98. So that's going to be critical that we continue to prioritize those roadway projects. And y'all are aware of the city's preferred alternative on 56. We'd like to see 301 up to Chansey, out to County Road 54 to 98 as that priority. We feel like there's right of way there to get that infrastructure done, to have the 4 lanes available there where the right-of-way already exists. So we'd still like to prioritize that, especially now with all the manufacturing and the jobs that are being created. 301 is, of course, a continued priority for us. Of course, the southern leg of that got reprioritized. We'd like you to continue to remember 301 through town. That's next on the list, but it's really an impediment to our redevelopment efforts, so we want to continue to push that as a high priority through town. And then Island Boulevard, we've heard a lot. We work with your county MPO staff with our mobility plan. Appreciate all their support and help on that. But Island Boulevard is what we're hearing a lot from the local community, that's a high priority. Got to get that 4-lane. A lot of development out there, of course. And then lastly, Geiger Road. had a lot of help from Pasco County and your MPO staff in prioritizing full depth reclamation, I guess they call it, redoing the full road. We're looking at getting a trail on there. That was a road that needed a lot of assistance. We got a couple development projects occurring on that road, so appreciate the county's support and assistance on that project.
Todd, I got one thing to add to what you were saying, and you may not know it, but Wire Road, where it meets 301, right there at the asphalt plant,
right,
is a very dangerous road.
Yes.
And I spoke, the last MPO meeting, Justin Hall from FDOT was there. He's under Secretary Gwynn. And within 2 hours, I told him the danger there, and there's 4 deaths there this past year. Within 2 hours, he came back to me and said the engineering started, and we're going to get a light there.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So that in itself is going to improve the safety there on that road. And we have a lot of elderly citizens that live near there, and that's been a problem, that road.
Thank you.
Right there. So, but we're addressing that and working hard. So we're more than welcome to work very hard at doing, what we can to work with the cities, Zephyr Hills, Dade City, and of course, San and St. Leo. So we got to be partners to make things work, and I think the best we can do is continue working hard together, and hopefully as we get through a lot of these things, it'll come to fruition that it'll be much better around here once we get these things done. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mariano.
With when growth comes in, it used to be that we could actually do things with developers coming in to call them extractions, where they would do pipeline projects with, et cetera. Those laws have now changed. Pasco's had the highest impact fees, I think, in the nation for years, letting growth help pay its way. It still doesn't quite keep up with the pace because the development's got to get there before the roads get built, but you can sometimes plan, sometimes get a project that's going to be done off-site that you can program in there. I know Nick Urin doesn't like those, but sometimes if it helps a project come through, you can make it happen. Do the cities, this is an open question for everybody, do all the cities have impact fees in place for transportation?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
We actually just increased ours. We did, we just completed a study, and council voted to increase them.
Okay.
I think currently we're at $4,200 for transportation.
Thus far in this meeting, I think you can realize how important it is in District 1 to get 50% of all the paving and all coming my way. I have to keep telling Branford I need 50%. I got 50% of the land mass, so I need 50% of all the paving and all that. We all need it on this side of the county.
Branford, we agree with Commissioner Oakley.
Frontier.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Be careful. You got a lot of green swamp out there, too. We'll do for the roads.
Like Alaska, the new frontier.
Just to tag onto that, the city has identified what we're calling hot spots, so multiple intersections that we have issues. One of them being Pretty Pond and Wire Road that Todd talked about with the roundabout. But we're working right now. Next council meeting, we'll be bringing task orders for design of those intersections to try to improve. So we're using the impact fees to add the capacity to those intersections and try to attack those before all the development's in.
Great. Before we move to water, I would just ask, make sure that we're speaking into the mics. So the clerk is trying to make sure we get an accurate record. And so I've just been asked just to remind everyone to please do that. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to add that the new State Road 52 in Prospect, we are seeing a lot of accidents happening right there as well. So I'm not sure whether some of it is just from our residents who have been used to traveling the road a certain type of way. But we are having quite a bit of accidents at the State Road 52 in Prospect.
I'd like to add something to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you need more speed signs on that road. There actually, when you go down Clinton Avenue from Prospect, there's only one speed sign and one speed sign coming back. And people go 60, 70 miles an hour across Prospect and over to that new McCabe Road and shoot down there across Curly Road to get to the intersection, and they go like 70, 90 miles an hour. They think it's some kind of a freeway there.
Right.
They really need some more stuff. I know our deputy caught somebody going 100 miles an hour across Curly Road.
Right. Sorry, our traffic engineer is writing this down as you're speaking, so he will address those issues.
Okay. Water.
Water, I just wanted to give an update. We've been working with SwiftMud to increase our WUP, our water use permit. We were requesting 4.49 million gallons a day. The information that we got is we're permitted for just over 4.11. There's some special conditions. We possibly can get to the 4.49, but we have a meeting with our consultants on Friday so I can understand what the requirements are. So I just wanted to give that update that we're still looking at it. Again, we're not unique. I think you guys have permitting capacity problems as well, but we're not unique across the state. So we're working on it, and then that'll just handle the growth that we know about, the projects that we know that are on the books right now. So we'll continue to work towards that.
Yeah, part of the issues about water is it bothers me when I hear people say that we have no more water. And I got news for you. We're developing new processes for water throughout the centuries ahead. I mean, we're not giving up. We're just asking and working at getting more and more water at Tampa Bay Water. I'm the past chairman of SwiftMud, and I understand how they work, and I'm the past chairman now of Tampa Bay Water and sit on Tampa Bay Water Board. But when I tell you they're picking up 200 million gallons a day and putting it in a reservoir, we're capturing that water, and we have been doing that every year. We're actually about a month behind on doing that, but it's there. I wish we had another 15 billion gallon tub we could put water in. I think we could, with all this system we got, we could put it in there and have it for the future. So, but the system works very good. We've been lowering our pumping from groundwater and using it out of the bypass canal and out of the reservoir to provide water that we need throughout the three-county area of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough County, and the city of Tampa. So, yeah.
Okay.
One other item, if I could. My understanding is that the board will be considering the Florida Water Star ordinance with like a conservation measure through SwiftMud, maybe, possibly.
I'm looking for my utility director.
David's here.
Well, I would encourage you to. So the city passed a Florida Water Star ordinance that has regulations on low flow irrigation and then all of the appliances inside the houses. We've passed that. Some of the roadblocks that we're finding is that we provide water outside of the city limits. So in that joint area, we're finding it difficult to have those customers follow.
We'll take them from you, Billy. I mean, I'm kidding. Our utility director, David Allen, is here. I don't know, David, shed some light.
Yeah, just this is on, right? Real quickly, we have been in conversations with both Tampa Bay Water and just started with conversations with SwiftMud to look at what the Florida Water Star program looks like and what that would mean with our community. I think one of the things that we would need to do before we brought it forward to any kind of commission action or approval would to vet those requirements with potential stakeholders that we have within our community, and that's something that we haven't fully committed to or decided yet at this time.
Okay, perfect.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Do the cities use a toilet rebate program as well?
We have in the past. We currently do not.
We found that to be very effective. We first started out, but we stayed steady with it. I've been working with Tampa Bay Water actually to increase even the reimbursements back for it.
Yeah, that's a conversation we've had. Is obviously the Florida Water Star's the new development, but the question has become, what do we do with the existing high flow appliances? So toilets has been part of that conversation.
Well, transition us, if that's okay, sir, into development. And the first item we have on the agenda from Dade City is the North Highway 301 redevelopment.
Thank you, Mr. Kerbala. This is matter that we recently had a visioning session, and it was one of the items discussed. And it has to do in many ways with gateway approach as you're coming in to Dade City from the north on US Highway 301, coming into town or leaving town. I'm not sure how many have driven north of Dade City a mile or two, but you'll see a lot of the area around the former Pasco processing, likes Pasco, now the Dade City Business Center. A lot of older buildings. At one time that was a economic hotspot, and now it's sadly in need of redevelopment. And most of that is in the county, even though it's directly adjacent to the city limits. Several years ago, the Dade City Business Center, the former citrus processing plant, annexed into the city. A good part of the property was annexed in. But we have a lot of the other properties alongside 301. And some of it's, a lot of code enforcement too, and I can understand about that. We have our hands full of code enforcement as well, but if we could work together on that. But what I would really like to see us do, I was talking to Mr. Ingalls just a little earlier too. I'd like to meet with him and even with our staff and have some meetings with our city commission about some plans that we could jointly participate to redevelop that area, even perhaps, and I'm speaking as an individual commissioner at this point, but perhaps even a community redevelopment agency, a CRA district for that area. We do provide some of the water, there are some sewage needs, but also just in terms of grants for rehabbing, redeveloping buildings and new development along that area. If you travel along there, you'll see exactly what I mean. The former Young Pest Control, at some point someone decided to make a residence out of it. I think they were stopped on that. Then it was vandalized, burned, still sitting there. We have some industrial uses. We have some other things along there. There's a restaurant along there, and propane business, and several others that have been very good for the community through the years, but some properties, the former Zip Fuel, just really sorely in need of redevelopment. It also helped the Dade City Business Center with their efforts as well. And if that's something we could work on, it would provide a much nicer gateway as people come into Dade City, as I said earlier, but also provide the sprucing up, but also the economic benefits that we would reap if we could come together and make something happen there. As it is, neither of us are touching it, and it would help if we got involved and worked together to make something good there.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I know the CSX line runs up 301,
yes,
connects to the rest of the nation, so very important line there. There's at least one rail spur there, isn't there? There is. The Dade City Business Center does have rail spur, and there have been some others in the past. I'm not sure if they'd ever become active again, though. But I think that's probably, there should be a key focus to us, because that connects to the rest of the nation. Oh, yeah. So we can look to that. I did talk to some people, I think, that own either property abutting it, next to it, that were interested in it well. So that may be the ideal catalyst to go forward. A general cosmetic fix that we could do as even using that CRA tool, I think it would be very helpful and something we could work together on. Just don't become like the east side cities that are 99 and 95% blighted. No, exactly. But if we sit there and do nothing, it will stay the way it is. And that is a wonderful tool in the toolbox of redevelopment. And I think it's something, and you do use it sparingly. You're exactly right, Commissioner Mariano. I know we've used it sparingly in Dade City and had great benefits, and it hasn't affected our budget or the county's budget negatively. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, you do use that tool very carefully. And it has great benefits as well when it's done correctly.
There's a lot of great things that can happen in the Dade City area and make it a more vibrant rural community than it even is now. But people that come here, they love it because of the feel of it and all. But I think David England and also Commissioner Starkey also went to a convention in Cincinnati that talked about open air spaces where you have dining outside and things of that nature, and everything's walkable around the community and the city. I think it would be a very good look if we could get there and design something like that in the city that that'd be here forever.
Certainly, and one thing that did fail to mention too was La Calle de Milagros, Lock Street. It would help with their redevelopment as well. Things happening on the north end of Dade City, and make that it's a really unique community, and I think it has a lot of potential to build upon its the cultural with the ethnic cultural diversity in that community. I think it could be a real jewel too, and so things along 301 would positively impact Lock Street.
Yeah. Well, we also have been working with Ms. Woodard with getting recreation in the city and trying to figure out the right place for it. And the urban park is shortly going to be across 4 lanes of traffic and a railroad track. Hard to get a lot of kids there safely. And so we're interested in that bus also, but we've just presented the fact that we need a system for recreation, basketball, swimming, and the Olympic swimming pool, and a facility that also houses the VA that's there at Florida Avenue and 14 Road or 17th. And that building will be very similar to the Fasano Center. It will be a shelter in bad weather and things of that nature for, of course, all the county, but also it can reach out in the Tampa Bay area here where we are. If we have room to house people from south of us that need to move up, we'd be able to use it for something like that also. But that kind of facility on the east side, Randy Maggard, and I know you've heard Randy and Danny Burgess both speak of it in the past for the last 2 or 3 years about that. And so they were always looking for land. We own the land. The county owns the land there. So we're going to look forward to trying to put that forth. And Gus Bilderakis with VA, and he's interested, and he's got his assistants looking out for some grants to help in some of that cost of that building.
And I think
something very good in the future.
That creative thinking in terms of finding the funding for a community center using with the storm and the VA and just storm shelter VA, I think that's all a great way to get it done. And there's some lessons we can learn from the Fasano Center as well, some things that they wish they had done differently when they were constructing it that would help us in constructing a facility here.
Right. Okay, our staff's on board, and we've been looking at a lot of different areas of things to make things better for Pasco County. So
certainly,
sir,
very good.
Okay, so Zephyr Hills, the next 3 items come up there under development, the industrial corridor master plan, community cleanups, and zoning.
I'll talk a little bit about the industrial corridor. At Zephyr Hills, we're blessed to have our industrial corridor, Chancey Road area. We're well positioned coupled with the airport being there, the CSX rail, MyTech that just came in, their product all is coming in off the rail. Then it goes out semi-truck when it's a finished product. So I've been here since 1996. It took about this long a period of time for the industrial manufacturing to come, but now it's coming. We hear of some others that are looking heavily at Zephyr Hills too. So, I was talking to David Engel before the meeting and always had a good relationship with him. He's helped us with a lot of economic fiscal impact analysis of these projects coming in, and we talk about getting together and trying to do some master planning between the city and the county to best position ourselves for both the city and the county to generate the best type of product that we can out there. Do we want to look at the zoning? We've been blessed so far to have manufacturers that are creating a lot of jobs, but maybe we prefer that over the warehousing. So we want to look at the niches. We want to look really carefully at the transportation, how to get those semi-trucks, the freight in and out of sites and at major intersections and onto the major arterials. And so, I think there's some master planning opportunities that our staff would like to work with David Engel and his group and make it the best it can be, where we're looking at some gateway industrial signage going into our corridor. And so,
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mariano?
And I think, the county took a look at that site, that area, to designate it as one of the prime sites in the nation. I think we've put $2.3 million in to put the sewer lines in to make that happen. So we're very happy that you're focusing on jobs. We want to keep that focus every step of the way.
We fought off some residential developers. Of course, Senate Bill 102 didn't help with that, but we've been fortunate. I think the county started with some voluntary deed restrictions. We kind of want to work, I think, as the county's been doing that as well, to try to preserve that industrial land.
Yes, we do. We want to work with you as far as we're going to make a few trips to live local. I think we made a pretty good resignation to keep it back, but we still got more work to do up there. So your help up there would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
All right.
Community cleanups, code enforcement. Want to say thank you to the code enforcement department and our code guys work great together. One of the requests I have is if maybe we can have a little bit better partnership on the cleanups that happen throughout the year. Selfishly, the best turnout that the city has had is the one that we partnered with the county. Both our code department and county code department kind of focused on the south end between 56 and C Avenue along 301. Saw a lot of cleanup in the area, but a lot of participation. So if there's any way to continue that partnership and grow that, I think we can clean up that stretch of 301 that's in desperate need of.
I believe we worked on some of that, didn't we, on the south side there, coming out of Zephyr.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Get some of that cleaned up.
We did. Yeah, that was the best. That partnership was the best turnout that we've had for a cleanup. So we'd love to see that continue.
Okay.
And we do them quarterly, right?
We do them about twice a year.
St. Leo has its first cleanup planned, and we are partnering with the county, with the solid waste department. They've been great so far, so thank you.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, our communities like the dumpster days too, when we bring out. Let's keep that going.
And zoning, I think, joint planning area.
Okay, my last at bat. Well, the county's reached out to us to update our interlocal agreement. So we've reached out to Elizabeth Blair trying to get that meeting coordinated. So we're happy to do so. And part of that deals with transportation impact fees. And I think the city's always been very supportive and proactive of partnering with the county. Just some examples of County Road 54 we just recently finished, and Simons Road we took over, and then the intersection of County Road 54 and 301 we work with Pasco County and DOT to get that project done. And so we want to continue looking at that JPA and the interlocal agreement, partnering opportunities on some of these roads that we've identified in the hot spots. And then from the JPA, from a planning standpoint, we're updating our comprehensive plan. I know the county's doing the same thing with Hyatt. We've expressed to Hyatt and her team that we're very interested in the type of development that's occurring in our JPA, especially that in the county, and just trying to work together and what the vision of those areas are. We hear from our council and mayor that we want to look very closely at the type of development that's occurring out there. We see a lot of 40, 50-foot wide lot subdivisions with townhomes, and some areas that might be okay. Some areas, is it compatible, the right use? So we're trying to ourselves do some comprehensive visioning and want to share that with the county staff that are updating the comp plan, and just try to work together and look at the best appropriate type of development for those areas within our JPA. We're dealing with water issues, transportation issues, so we want to look at it very carefully.
Okay.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I know this last item, I believe Commissioner Starkey would have brought this up. I think the title says it all, County Assistance for Vibrant, Walkable Downtown. I'm sure if she were here, we'd offer some help, but I know she's...
Well, I'm sorry that our specialists in trails and walkabout areas around the county is not here today with us. She's out of town, but she would have a lot to say about this right now. Probably make the meeting run over time. But she's very good at it, and I try not to get in her way, to be honest with you. I let her take care of trails. There's a lot of things to do in this county, and a lot of them mean a lot to all of us. But once we get all these roads right and all this, and the trails fall in place, the Orange Belt Trail's coming and all that, I hope those connectivities in Dade City and down in Zephyr Hills are going to fit. They're going to come through St. Leo and San Antonio, and I think it's a good system. Some of it I could see where it would be, there would be areas that would even go north up into the Trilby and come back toward Dade City and then back into San Antonio. So there's some areas that there would be walkability, and a lot of things that's being built, they're actually adding trails as they're building their development. So especially in and around St. Leo and San Antonio. So there's going to be routes that you can take. Say you want to walk 5 miles, well, you'll know what route will take you there and be able to do that. So we'll have more of that in East Pasco. Being rural, we didn't have that much developed for adding those things. With things changing in the agricultural careers of a lot of people in this area with citrus going out, people have had to sell their land to get money because their jobs actually left. That's a shame of what happened with the citrus industry, and now you see people having cows and hay in certain places, but they're not making a living on that. They have to work another job and have those cattle like that. So, yeah.
All right. Moving out of development into Parks and Recreation, the Dade City Area Sports Complex. Dade City.
Well,
Ms. Woodard's got to talk about this.
Yes. And she's most effective with it too. We appreciate
that. Yeah, I know she is.
It was really a benefit to be able to come to the table and basically renegotiate and figure out a way that the county and the city could participate together for a much needed sports complex. The east side does not have any building that's large enough to house our youth without being in the weather. So we really wanted to have a place where we could gather, we could be on the inside in the air condition, and have a place for our youth to be able to go to have a safe place to fellowship together. And so the James Irvin Center, as some may know, may not know, is one of the pillars within the African American community, and it was named after an African American. And in order to preserve part of that heritage, the community came together and they were very adamant, because this building was constructed in 1962 and probably not as large as the building we currently sit in. So it no longer serves the needs of the community. And then after much collaboration, there was a breakdown, and it was like, nope, city can do their thing, county can do their thing. And so I got with Mr. Wiley, and we said, no, we could do a thing together. And through that, I was able to have conversations with the county commissioners and explain to them our plight. And it did not fall on deaf ears. It was at that point that each one of them decided that, yes, this is something that we need. This is something that needs to be walkable within the Dade City community. A lot of people were caught up on the fact that whether we could do it or not at the James Irvin's location. The community wasn't concerned about necessarily the location, but the actual facilities that were needed. And it was through that partnership that we were really able to come to the table, and then I received a call to come back and see Mr. Oakley. And it was at that point that we're really looking at a good goal, because what I really wanted to also see was an aquatics piece into Dade City. So instead of a 12,000 possible square foot facility, maybe looking at a 40,000 square foot facility with an aquatics piece there. And then we can still do some things at James Irvin, cover the basketball current court, add some pickleball courts, do some things like that, put some additional pavilions out there to preserve the actual park. But basically, we get 2 for 1. And it's just great to really have conversations with the county and be able to come. And as Mr. Wiley said, I forced him to think outside of the box because I was adamant and I would not back down. I knew what we needed on this side, and it is a partnership. It's not just about the city, our constituents within the city, but it is about Pasco County. And so I think this is a viable and the best opportunity that we have to move forward. And I just strongly believe that this is something that our children will be able to enjoy, and that's most important. We really need that place.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Good job. We are more than happy to help bring that to fruition. I wish it was already there, but it's very close to the junior high school, which is pretty neat in the neighborhoods there. It's also close to the elementary schools there, and it's also not that far away from the high school. If we can get that sidewalk,
there you go.
They can walk there. They can walk there. So those are very important issues, and also sidewalks to the north going down toward Lock Street and that area there to bring them to this location. And a lot of them will be going to school right there because there's 2 major schools right here in Dade City. This facility is going to be right there. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. It's and then you don't have to worry about the kids walking across a new 4-lane highway and a railroad track that's very, very busy. So we don't have to worry about the safety of those kids on that. But we need to do all we can to make sure that is safe over there because kids will go back and forth. So, but this is a good product for not just Pasco County, but the Tampa Bay area and here, that we will be able to help our neighbors. If need be, they need to come here. So, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
As far as to try to help even more, if it's going to be a tourism facility, we could look at even Sports Coast, though I will tell you we were still paying off what we had before. This year in the budget we had a Parks MSTU, which I knew was going to be tough to do because we're still working on paving assessment MSTU that we're trying to take care of our infrastructure, but that would be something you might want to consider as well as working with us on that MSTU to try to help get that funded as well.
We are following that, yes.
Okay. Zephyr Hills on parks.
Want me to go? Yep. Okay. Good morning. I am Gail Hamilton. I am the CRA Director for the City of Zephyr Hills. Currently, we are working on a master parks plan for the city. Our consultant would like to meet with county staff to look at what the county has planned for the Zephyr Hills east side of the county as far as parks goes, so that we can work together on this plan will take Zephyr Hills for the next 20 years. And we don't want to spend time on something the county is planning, or if the county is not planning, is it something the city can do for their residents as well? So we would appreciate having Parks and Rec staff work with our consultant on our master parks plan. The second issue is Hercules Park. The city has committed $7.5 million on a park north of the city. We will do the ribbon cutting December 1st, and we invite all of the county commissioners to come and participate in the groundbreaking. The second project is Zephyr Park. After many years of working with our citizens and designs, we finally came up with a final design for the redevelopment of Zephyr Park. The first day that our consultants came to walk the park with city staff was 3 days after Debbie. And the park, a third of the park is underwater. So I was happy to hear us talking earlier about the water coming through the park. The park is designed to flood.
Right.
But if there is a way that we can come up with something to continually move that water through so that the park does not flood to that extent, we would appreciate that. Zephyr Park has become the city's central park. It is our crown jewel of parks in the city, and we want to make sure that it is something that people will come to and enjoy themselves, our citizens, not just Zephyr Hills citizens, but Pasco County residents as well, and enjoy the park. So if we could just stay abreast of what the city or the county is doing on that area and how we're treating that area, I'd appreciate it so I could pass that on to our consultants. And that's it.
That won't be a problem. So.
If I could add, Todd Vanderberg and I had a conversation with Keith Wiley about San Pasco and the possibilities of maybe relocating that park to be more centrally located between the city, Dade City and Zephyr Hills. Right now, as you know, it sits on Chancey Road. Very hard to get to. There's one subdivision that's close, but the possibilities of purchasing other parkland and maybe San Pasco becomes an industrial development, and the proceeds from that help to develop a park towards the north end of Zephyr Hills.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. Making some notes there. Mr. Chair, I assume it was Commissioner Starkey that brought up the last two items on trails and multimodal trails, so I kind of feel like we've covered that unless there's anything you or any of our other folks would like to talk about with regards to that.
Anything from St. Leo or San Antonio, we seem to be talking this way, but we don't want to leave you out. So.
Well, we are, you keep mentioning partnerships, Commissioner Mariano. We are very happy to partner with the county and DOT, especially for the roundabout is now open at the St. Leo and San Antonio site. And the Orange Belt Trail they're already planning for that in the roundabout design with the sidewalk. And so we're very excited to see that go through also. And we're thankful for all the work that everyone's doing for the roundabout. It's going to really tie into our town center project with the walkable cities, a place for everyone to gather in the community of St. Leo, San Antonio, and
yeah, I think you get a lot of activity from that trail coming through there. So. Yeah. Thanks, San Antonio.
No, only comments I've heard. We are glad that the roundabout is open, but
we all are.
We wish the state would have done a better job in planning the signage. Those signs look like they're the size for a highway and not for the small communities of St. Leo and San Antonio. They're just massive.
They are.
And we've heard that they're an eyesore.
Okay.
Other than that, we're glad it's open.
Well, it's turned out a great roundabout, I can tell you. I've been through it, so it's now no matter where you come from to get there to that roundabout, you don't have to worry about the lady or gentleman that on the other side has got a blinker on trying to figure out if they're going to turn or what they do at that intersection like before. So many times you didn't know what they were going to do. So if you were born and raised here, you knew what to do. So, but roundabout has solved that issue, and it's done very nicely. The problem is it did slow some business down in San Antonio, and they have to recognize that. The Jiffy store suffered greatly. The gentleman there that had just recently bought that Jiffy store business, which was a good business. That coming in and being constructed right there at his corner of activity and the roads being shut down did not help that gentleman at all. So I keep trying to look out and see if there's some way to help him, that a grant or something to help him out, because he had loss of income from that construction.
That certainly didn't solve all of the problems, but we did recently have our last Roundabout Business Day, which was held specifically to drive business to the Jiffy and a couple of organic and On Cue Smokehouse. And all of the business owners seemed pleased with what we've done. It was hot out, but we all showed up and we spent our money and bought our sandwiches.
It was kind of a twofold project because not only did we were able to drive some finances to those businesses, it built a lot of community interaction there. And that's what the goal is of the town center project, is to drive community involvement there. I know that we're kind of small, and I know that we've been quiet in the county for a long, long time, but I just want to say thank you to Mike Caraballa for helping us through some situations. Commissioner Oakley, you've been great in guiding us and what we're doing, but I just want to let you know that St. Leo's here to be a player in the county, and I wanted to say that publicly here at this meeting. So, and I thank everybody for assisting us, and shout out to Billy Poe for a lot of direction in doing that. So I appreciate what you guys are doing in the county. I've only been in the county for 16 years, but I'm from Citrus County, and I really appreciate what's being done in the county here.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Sylvia Young used to say she thought that was the only intersection where a state road had to yield to a local street, a city street. And it did greatly improve that intersection. I think it makes a nice gateway for both communities as well.
And besides the size of the sign, it is very clear how to use that roundabout. Because if you go down Curly Road to 54, where you have, 5 or 6 roundabouts, they're not always clear. You really have to pay attention and slow down where you're going for those people to come in from all ways across with all those developments there. So I like that roundabout. Normally, I didn't like all those roundabouts on 54. I hated it. But this one, I know where to go, and I watch. And I realized about the turning, because there was a stop sign in front of what used to be Mom and Pop's. And then there's a yield sign when they were coming around the curve from 54, and nobody knew. And I watched a fender bender take place because people didn't know what to do. So you really had to. I like that one.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that a roundabout's, I forget what class road it is, but it's the one that's always moving, whereas a light signal stops traffic from moving anyway. In a roundabout, you can continue safely through that exchange of the roads
You know what you're
together,
doing.
and it'd be very safe. But everybody has to pay attention. So, but it's good. It's going to work great. It's already working great. So, yeah.
All right. No, that takes us, sir, into our miscellaneous category here. And Zephyr Hills would like to talk about aircraft rescue and firefighting.
Yeah, as the city having an airport, we'd like to talk to Pasco County. Chief Perez and I had a very brief conversation about an ARF, which is typically located right on the airport. But I know that Station 18 is being relocated to Chancey Road, just to the south of the airport, just south of runway 119. We'd like to see if there's a way to partner to maybe create an off-site ARF for the airport, for the fire station, to be able to respond to aircraft, hopefully never have to, but aircraft crashes on the airport.
You're talking about some right-of-way or some road that will carry us right into the airport?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah. So the city owns land all the way to Chancey, or the airport owns all the way to Chancey, and then on the other side of Chancey is Station 18. So to be able to create an entrance point to provide that access for the department to be able to come in and have a rapid response should there be some type of crash or fire of any kind.
Well, no, I think we can probably continue those discussions, Mr. Poe, and talk about, there's probably equipment and other things that we need to kind of talk about, and there's obviously costs associated with that. So I think we can continue to have those conversations. In the name of public safety, especially aircraft safety, they're special emergencies and they require specialized approaches. So I think very happy to continue that dialogue.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to bring up something since we're talking about Station 18. Yesterday we had on Station 25 right at the city courthouse there in Zephyr Hills. We had a push-in of Station 25 fire engine, which runs to the tune of about $964,000. A new truck that we pushed in there yesterday at 2 o'clock. And another great thing for service in Zephyr Hills, and people that are working, some of them used to work for Zephyr Hills, work for Pasco County, are very appreciative and enjoying the work they do there. I also pulled up there before I left the scene there. They pulled up a ladder truck, and I guess it's going to be there also. It runs at a somewhere around $1.6 million for ladder truck, and it was there at the station. It's also Station 25 right there, so we're getting better equipment for better service there in the city. So
Yeah, that was a great transition. We've not received any complaints from residents or anything. It honestly went a lot smoother than we anticipated. So thank you very much.
We worked very hard to put that together, and it wanted to be a smooth transition. I think it worked good, even for the employees there with the fire. They have a life now. They actually continue their marriages, and before they had worked so much that they probably didn't think they were married at all. So, but these new stations, like the one on Chansey on 18, if I was a young man and I was going to be a firefighter, they'd have to shove me out the door to leave that place. It's built so nice for our firefighters, so it's really great. So, but always improving fire service in the county and in our cities. So, yeah.
Okay. And then we have 6th Avenue Community Development Block Grants for Zephyr Hills as well.
Thank you. The city's has been in the process for several years to implement a septic to sewer program in the 6th Avenue extension area outside the city limits. The area is primarily African American. It is in the county, but within our utility service area. Citizens there have city water. We are working with Senator Burgess to get a grant through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and we'd like to talk to the county about potential of using some community development block grant funds to help with the connections and implementation of that area if we get the grant and are able to move forward.
Has the city applied for CDBG through Marcy?
No.
Oh, Marcy, okay. Yeah, actually, let me bring Marcy Expert forward here.
There's a mic over there. There's a mic right over there in the center. If you'd like.
Center stage, Marcy. And then we put it up high on purpose.
Okay, Marcy Esberg, Director of Community Development. And so the county is considered what's called an urban county, which means that we have a certain number of population in the county to get the Community Development Block Grant. And we, every year or every couple of years, go back to our cities to see if they want to participate in the program. And Zephyr Hills does not participate in our Community Development Block Program, as well as the urban county. So that's why they don't get grants from the county.
We would like to keep in mind, though, that these residents are county residents.
Okay.
So it's not a grant that would be expended within the city. And we would like to just be able to use it. These are low-income areas as a inducement to connect to the sewers and to help with the connection fees.
So I would say that if you would write that up, I would submit it to HUD to get approval before we would go forward with something that would then be deemed ineligible, and then somebody would have to reimburse the grant, and we don't want to get in that position. So let's put it together in a proposal and go to HUD to see if that would make a difference. It might mean not the city applying for the money.
Right. No, yeah, I wanted to partner with the county.
Yeah, it might be that we have to do the applying.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So if I could recommend, the state has a lot of money for septic to sewer. We've applied for one with Sea Pines. I think we're going to get that. Elfer's another community too. There's a ton of money that's out there for it. We might even get some federal money as well. I would say it'd be a much better venue to go, and we could work together on that. We recently recommended the city of Newport Richey do the same thing.
I'm sorry?
We recently recommended the city of Newport Richey do the same thing.
Okay, all right.
So, happy to work with you on that.
All right, thank you.
Great, yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, I know the last item was from Commissioner Starkey as well, and the only thing I'm aware of it is she just wanted to make sure City of Dade City, just in terms of as development comes through, you may wish to consider a mining ordinance to protect your hilltops. We've seen some areas where developments kind of come through, and if you're not careful in that approach, some of your rural character could be damaged in the process.
And we learned the hard way on that. We've had those discussions. That is something we're going to be very careful about. In some cases, when there's development, land is being moved, and it's not truly excavation, or it's not truly mining, I should say. It's, preparing. But we did have something that was annexed in about 20 years ago, and we won't get into that because we both sides of, some of you may remember that, but yes, that was our experience and something that we've learned from in terms of maintaining, and that is very important to us, our hillsides, our canopy roads, and just making sure that what we do can be as compatible as possible with what we have.
Leslie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could add on to that we are also in the process of updating our comp plan, and during the year process, we've had conversations about adding cut and fill provisions into that process and into the LDRs.
Right. Also talking about, when I saw mining, and then I saw it was talking about Dade City, but Zephyr Hills, just to the south there, I think there's some mining going on, and I've had complaints and calls come in on the mining there. I don't know, that's in the county or is that in the city, some of that city?
It's in the county.
It's county. It's all county.
Most of the complaints are in the city.
Well, I think all the complaints are coming from the city.
That happens.
And
but they're my citizens too. So.
They have a meeting set up in October, and get you the date. That's State Representative Randy Maggard is going to meet with some of the residents there about the mining, and we've met several times with them. And we get complaints from residents along the south end and the businesses in the industrial park along the north side. That when they blast, you know it.
Right. Well, I've heard some of those complaints, and it's not all the time. It's just whenever they blast,
It's once or twice a week.
They'll do it for a little while, and then for a long time they won't do any blasting. Then they'll come back and blast. But we need to look into it and make sure they're following all the rules they're supposed to, because they're governed about how they're to do those blasts and how they're supposed to notify everybody when they're doing that. So, yeah, we'll look into it here on our side too.
That's it for the formal agenda, Mr. Chair. I mean, we still have 20 minutes left based on the calendar, but I'll defer to you, sir.
Well, I saved that for Starkey.
Oh, she would have needed more time than that.
I love her. I just kill her a lot. So, but is anyone else, St. Leo or St. Anne, would like to add anything or speak to anything that we might need to reach out that we hadn't covered here today? Or my office is open for all of you. So I know these folks know it. So I know St. Leo knows it. San Antonio, you're new on the board. My office is open to you. We'll work on those. I'll do some research on that flooding there on Curly Road right there, because I was thinking we'd done something to help with that drainage right there. What happens when you turn your back at some things that you think got started actually stopped. So, but I'll double check that today. So. Anything else?
Commissioner Oakley, Commissioner Yeager, and Commissioner Mariano, you may want to introduce your staff members who are present, because I find a lot of times they're good people to speak with as well, Commissioner Oakley, whenever we have a concern. And if you're able to introduce them so that we can all know them.
I'm sorry.
He was thinking it would be a good opportunity for staff from the county maybe introduce themselves so they can put a face to a name.
And as well as the commissioner's legislative assistants, that's what I was particularly meaning too, but everyone that, it's good to have, if people remember what a Rolodex is, his names.
Well, I know.
Some of us are heard of it.
Yeah. I'm much too young to fill this out.
Here.
Commissioner Oakley's legislative assistant. So if you need me, I am here.
Yep.
Always does
I
a
have
good
another
job.
one right now, Marie Miller. She's out. Her father passed away, but she's out for right now. But she's been with me 7.5 years, and she's going to be retiring. So
She's done a great job.
I'm going to definitely miss her. She's been very good.
Yeah.
But we've got good support.
I see Katie looking at me with fear in her eyes.
Kate Biltowski, Commissioner Starkey's legislative aide.
I know Brian is here from Commissioner Waitman's office, and there he is.
Commissioner Waitman's office, I know I've worked with some of you all in the past, but our office is always available for retiring time.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, we got.
Any others? I guess I would just ask my assistant county administrators and direct reports to stand up there. Mr. Murphy?
JJ Murphy, I have Assistant County Administrator for Public Safety.
So that would be fire and corrections on our side. Bradford.
Assistant County Administrator, Public Infrastructure Branch.
He's giving me that 50% of the road paving.
So if it's wet, paved, or smells funny, it's Brantford's job, just so you know. So.
While we're on him, I count him as royalty, but he actually has done a great job taking over at Alacad, and he's put in a system to fix potholes. And I was riding around with my friend Tom Johnson, lives out on Blanton Road, said, there was 2 potholes right in front of his driveway on 41. He said, I've called before. If I call them, they'll fix it today. I said, well, you didn't call? I said, I've never done that. I never knew they'd get fixed the next day. So I called them. Marie called for me, and next thing I know, the next morning I'm driving from home going into Dade City, and they're already fixed. So that system's all over the county, and it takes the resources and the manpower and the vehicles to get out there and take care of them. If they go out to fix a pothole, I heard the other day, they're to look and see if there's more potholes in that area and fix them before they come back in. So that's happening all over, but we're trying to get into a new paving system that I'm telling you folks is going to pave roads that you can't even imagine how many roads will be paved in the future, where you don't have to put neighbor against neighbor to vote whether the road gets paved or not. So that's how we've ended up with so many bad roads. It seems like more than 50% of people, when they have that community, they decide they don't want to pave a road. They vote it down and it never gets fixed. And we need that to be fixed. So it's not necessarily for me. I want all my citizens to be on good roads, and we got them not just in my district, but all over the county. There's roads that need to be taken care of and maintenance and kept up. So we deserve that, Pasco County. So we're going to get a better system.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I agree. The system of the old paving assessment was really tough, neighborhood to neighborhood. And if you're, let's say, a senior population, you couldn't afford it. You had to vote against it because you couldn't afford it. You know, up north, I think everyone knows taxes were put in there for the roads. We just didn't do it down here. The system, they started it just because something had to happen. But clearly, I think if we're going to be premier, we got to make that move. One thing I would just want to bring up to you as well, as you talk about roads and making them last longer. Right here in Pasco County, we've got this company called Asphalt Paving Systems right on 301. They've got a technology that's been around in Europe, used for many, many years, called spray jet technology, where you don't have the regular tacking truck driving ahead, driving over the tack before the asphalt goes down, which weakens the bond. Their system is all encompassed into one. In the seams where the roads get sealed together as well. I strongly recommend you take a look at it and try to put that into your programs coming up.
Yeah. So where do we left off? I see JP in the back there.
Yeah, you're legally obligated to have the two Murphys separated. So I'm E. Murphy, the interim ACA for development services to keep the neutral straight. JJ's jails, JP's permitting and planning.
Perfect. And Kathy, I see you up front there.
Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator for Public Services, which is our parks, our libraries, for Pasco, community development, community services, animal services, tourism, extensions, this beautiful building here, and so many more.
Thank you, Kathy.
Would it be out of order to ask for a line down Wisher Road so they know it's a 2-lane road?
That would be Branford. So if you need some road striping, we can look into that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What road are you talking about?
Wisher Road. We had a lot of traffic
Oh, right.
on Wisher Road when they were putting the roundabout because they couldn't go. And people are just driving, I mean,
They drive
gave
down the
quite a
middle of
few.
the road, don't they?
Yeah, and they gave quite a few tickets out because they were speeding. Well, they had 2 20-mile-an-hour signs down there. But I think it would help to have a line down that road.
I think you're right, yes.
Okay,
We'll look at that.
Thank you. And then my Chief of Staff, Joanna. Yeah.
Joanna Cheshire, Chief of Staff, County Administration. And before we all disperse, I would love to get a group picture of all the elected officials too.
Well, I mean, I can go through the directors. I wanted to get if you're a director in the organization, just if you could just raise your hand, stand up. I mean, it's a great team. Thank you guys for all being here. So our team stands ready to, assist where needed. So this is one Pasco, as I always like to say. So
That I thank everybody for being here. I thank all the staff for all they're doing to make this possible. I thank I think it's Katie Chass, is that right? Ralph? Of the Extension Service to help host this. Oh, there we go. Stand up, we all want to see you. Never seen you.
Hi, my name is Kate Case, and I'm representing Dr. Whitney Elmore, who couldn't be here today. But on behalf of all of us at Cooperative Extension, thank you for coming out, and thank you for participating.
Yeah, Lord, thank you for hosting this today. We certainly appreciate it. So, with that,
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Got a lot of good ideas from all of you today, too. This is good, not just for coming here and talking to you all, but sharing ideas. Best
just going to carry them out and make these Pasco look better. That will adjourn.